Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Snake 500, another 7 Days to Die video, and we've talked about armor, we've talked about books, we've talked about mods for your armor. What we haven't talked yet about are our weapons and weapon mods slash tool mods. Now, what I'm going to do here, and kind of follow me through this, first thing, and I want to make this very clear, the best early game mod that you can get for a weapon is any mod that fits on your weapon. So let's take the wooden club that I have in my inventory right now as an example. That's the only one we're focusing on right now. It does 16.8 base damage for melee, power attack is 28.8, block damage, etc., etc., etc. You see the numbers on the screen. We're going to put on the Metal Spikes mod, which gives me each successive hit lowers enemy's armor by 20%, and it can be installed in clubs, which is what this is. We're going to modify. We're going to add the Metal Spikes to the club. It's now doing more damage, more power attack damage, more block damage. That's 18, 30, and 16.5. We're going to take this off and put in the chain one. Notice, no change. We're going to take that off and put in the grip mod. We've got some stamina cost reduction because of what that mod does, but your damage at the beginning doesn't change. And again, the stamina went back up because of this specific mod, but 18, 30, and 16.5. If you find a mod and it fits your weapon or your tool or whatever, use it. Don't be picky early. Now, that being said, I do prefer some mods to others because of their abilities, and we're going to talk about that here as we get going. So, first things first, these are all the mods in the game for weapons, or resort them. So, real quick, we're just going to do a quick glaze over. Arrow rest mod is for bows, so that you can, it's like a notch that you can put the arrow in. It gives you more accuracy. The barbed wire mod goes into clubs, 20% chance of causing bleeding damage when using a club. Barrel extender increases the damage and range and aimed accuracy, but makes the weapon more unwieldy when you're firing from the hip, so a plus and a minus. Then you've got the biped mod, increases accuracy when aiming, when you're focusing, when you're using the scope, right? Bunker buster, I don't want to go over all of these, just some concepts of these, right? Burning mod, it adds a flaming, a chance to hit when you use enemies. Also can be used as a light source if you're walking around because it's an automatic fire. The crippling mod has a chance to cripple legs and bipedal targets, so if you are getting run after a lot and you shoot them, you have a better chance of their leg falling off. Diamond blade tip is for bladed weapons for a 30% slower degrade with this modification. Then you've got the drum magazine or the extended magazine for your weapons. You've got, you're getting the idea. I feel like I'm kind of just going over this. A lot of this is self-explanatory. But what I want to tell you in all this, well, these are all the mods in the game. All of them are better than just a basic weapon. So use whatever you find, and also take all of this conversation with a grain of salt. These are my decisions that I like, that works well with my playstyle. If you have a better one for you, then go forth and conquer. Don't let me tell you you're wrong. So let's look at some weapons here, and I've got these organized by what their grade, what their skill set is. Melee and range weapons. For my melee weapon, whatever skill set I'm running, I like some mods specifically, and then each weapon has its own little niche, I guess is the way to put it. So we're going to start with the steel spear. The ones I like for the steel spear are the serrated bladed mod, because you get a 10% chance to cause a bleeding wound. I like bleeding wounds because that means zombies are taking more damage while they're coming back at me. If they take a second hit, and they may die before they get to me. Big, huge fan. The structural brace mod, it lowers degradation by 25%. So I don't have to repair it as often. The rad removal mod. This disables regeneration ability of radiated zombies for 90 seconds. That means all those green guys running around don't get their health points back because they fell off a building with my club. But I'm a huge fan of every melee weapon I use having the radiated mod. Then it's kind of a mixed match. It depends on how that playstyle is going, whether I want the fortified grip or if I want the ergonomic grip. It depends if I'm using more stamina. And some weapons, it also changes too. If I'm taking more hits, I want the fortifying grip because it gives a chance to get some hit points back when you get below 50%. And I'm a big fan of getting more hit points back, especially when I'm below 50% so that I don't die. For the sniper, for pretty much all the guns, the format is the same. Ammo increasing, a scope. If I'm going to be using the scope a lot, like I am with the sniper, I like the bipod mod because it increases the accuracy when aiming down sights. And for a lot of weapons, I like the silencer mod, especially after I read the book that takes the damage modification away from it. I like being quiet when I'm shooting. It helps on Horde Night, so it's not so loud and I don't get a headache. It helps when I'm trying to sneak around a base, because then I don't wake everybody up with every shot. But if I've got to choose, the silencer mod is good, and I believe I've got on this, yeah. The other one I like is the muzzle brake, because it limits your, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, it reduces recoil, so you're getting quicker back on target. Big, huge fan of that. So, I mean, it's a plus or minus on either one of those. I prefer the silencer over the muzzle brake on most weapons, but I'm not afraid to use the muzzle brake if it's an option. So there's that. So back on this, so that's the basic one I have for your ranged guns. I like a scope. I like a barrel. I like a magazine of some sort. I like the red removal tool, etc. You're getting the idea. Okay, so those are the ones I like for the sniper. Then we get into your strength category. This is your sledgehammers, your clubs, and your shotguns. Again, any mod is better than no mod, but when I get this far and I get to be picky, these are the mods I like using on the sledgehammer. I like the weighted head mod on the sledgehammer because it gives the ability to knock somebody back, and it uses so much stamina that I like the idea that I get a chance to slow them down, because then they get to my speed. Structural brace mod, again, keeps your weapons and bows longer. Rad removal tool. Every melee weapon I use loves the rad remover mod. Then the ergonomic grip, specifically for the sledgehammer, because of how much stamina usage it uses. It just can absolutely destroy you. Now, you can get some better options later where you get your stamina back and all that. I get that. But if I don't have to use it, I'd rather not lose it. So that's why I use the ergonomic grip to lessen that, specifically with the sledgehammer. I also don't use sledgehammers very often because I'm not accurate enough, as you guys have seen, to waste energy in that scenario. Now, we get to my favorite weapon in the game, and that's the clubs. The clubs, again, let's do this correctly. I like the metal chain mod because it does a chance for bleeding damage. You'll notice anytime I get an opportunity for bleeding damage, I will take it. Structural brace mod, rad removal tool. The weighted head mod is nice with the club because you can knock them back, much like the sledgehammer, and gives me more of an opportunity to regain some stamina when I'm using heavy attacks with the club, so that when I do kill them with it, I get full stamina. That's where my head's at anyway with the club. Onto the shotgun. Much like every weapon, I like it to have a magazine. In this case, the drum magazine. If it can carry more bullets, I want it to carry more bullets. Shotgun choke mod is the one I really like using because it focuses your shots. It gets it in a tighter pattern, so you're not doing a spread shot like you get with a shotgun blast, but it makes it more focused. For the shotgun, I'm not sure all of the sights that work for it. I know the 8X doesn't. I don't think the 4X does. Let's look here. Modify. 4X doesn't. 2X doesn't. So the only one that does is the red dot. So it looks like that. It just looks better. It gives me a centralized target of where I'm aiming. You could just as use the, what's the word I'm looking for? You could use a forward grip. You could use a laser sight. You could use a million different things on the front of this thing. It's fine. None of those are wrong answers. I also like the retractable mod stock because it helps with the balance of the shotgun itself. The music kicked up, and I'm not seeing any bad guys. Are you? No, me either. All right. So there's a shotgun. That's for any shotgun I'm using. Those are the mods I like using in some order. For the pump action, there's the tube that I like because it adds extra shotgun. You get the idea. I'm wasting your time now. All right, let's get over to the steel knuckles, and this is in. Damn it! Why am I blanking on the name of it? It is in. Not intellect. It's in the fortitude category. Thank you. Steel knuckles. It is one of the. It's a bladed weapon, so you can use both, and this is why I like it. The diamond bladed tip, which is a 30% lower degradation with it, so it lasts exponentially longer. You get the serrated blade mod for a chance for a bleeding wound. You get the rad removal mod. Again, huge fan. And then I'll either go fortifying grip because I get the hit point back, especially if I'm getting down and dirty with those. Any chance I get to get a hit point back when I'm low, I'll take. And they don't use a lot of stamina on them, so I'm not needing it as much. I like getting the health points. Okay, so then we shift down to the machine guns. Now, the M60 doesn't have it as an option. But if I'm using the tactical assault rifle, I love the semi-fire auto mod. It saves me ammunition. I'm a big fan. Otherwise, then I do some mixing and matching here. The reflex sight, again, it gives me the simple red dot. I'll use a 2x scope. I'll use the 4x scope if it's an option at times. Drum magazine on all of these is awesome. More bullets is better. Rad removal tool, again, because I use this a lot on Horde Night, really comes in handy. And the muzzle brake mod, because of the M60 specifically, I can't do single shot, so I don't need to be quiet. I need it to be less jumping around on me. So now we get to your agility. Is that what it's actually called? Yeah, agility, right? Yeah. Okay, so we get to the machete here, and this is depending on what I'm doing with it, is what mods I put into it. If it's a melee weapon for me, if it's my primary melee weapon, then it gets the standard melee setup, where we get the bleeding wound option, we get the bladed weapon degrades 30% slower with the diamond blade tip, we get the rad remover mod so that when I'm hitting green zombies, they don't get their hit points back. And because it's an up-close and personal melee weapon, I want to gain 50% chance to get 1 hit point every 5 seconds. I'll take that back. When I'm below 50%, I want to gain 1 hit point back every 5 seconds. Again, up-close and personal, stuff like that, really fun, handy thing. When I'm using it as a tool, however, we change out the rad removal mod with the hunter mod because they are exclusive to one another, and the ergonomic grip mod because with the hunter mod I get 25% more damage to all animals, which includes when you're harvesting, which means you're harvesting faster, and the ergonomic grip meaning I'm using less stamina when I'm sitting there harvesting a bear. I'm not using all my stamina doing it. So depends on what I'm doing, depends on what level of mods that I put into it, but you get the general idea of how I go forward with those weapons. Now, I prefer bows to crossbows. I know a lot of people don't. I know they prefer the crossbow over the bow. Hello, nighttime. Nice. Um, my bow is pretty standard. I mainly use it to sneak damage. So anything that helps with that, it doesn't get the rad remover because if I'm shooting a bow at a rad, it's already asleep. So I have the stealth damage going on, and that helps. The mods that I like using are also when I think about animals. So it's the structural brace mod, so I don't take as much. It doesn't take as much damage. The hunter mod because I do more damage to animals, the arrow rest mod for more accuracy, and the polymer spring mod, which is the first one we actually talked about this. It makes bolts and arrows fly quicker and further with this modification. This is very nice on any bow you use. All right, so for the compound bow, very, very similar setup, except that instead of the notch, you get a 4x scope. Otherwise, same stuff, different day, walk away. On my pistols, this is for the SMG. I think it is the only pistol that can carry the drum magazine, which is why I separated it. It's also the only one. No, I take that back. All the others can carry those. So it gets the drum magazine. Everything else gets a extended magazine. Silencer mod is nice. If I'm using it, I'm probably being sneaky, so stealth definitely over anything else here. Rad removal tool and reflex sight makes it easier for when I'm using it for Horde Night. 2x scope could be changed out, 4x scope if you want to use it that way, but that's where my head's at. I like the reflex sight. Pistols. Now, there's some different thoughts that I go back and forth with on this one. Sometimes I like the laser dot. Sometimes I like the flashlight. I kind of go back and forth with what I kind of want on it. But overall, extended magazine mod for my pistols, silencer mod for my pistols, rad removal tool, and reflex sight for the scope. I'm not opposed to putting a 2x scope on a pistol. It just kind of helps a little, if that makes sense. And anytime I can help myself, a big, huge fan. One less weapon to talk about that we haven't talked about yet, and I'll be honest, I probably need to give this weapon a chance. I got used to playing with it in the last alpha, and this weapon right here, the stun baton, did as much damage as a level 3 wood club. Oh, good. It can stun an enemy. I have to hit it 30 times for it to be stunned, for it to be dead. I like weapons where you hit an item and it goes hit a what's the word I'm looking for? When you hit a zombie, it dies and goes away. Give me 30 seconds here because there's a cat over there that I don't want to mess with. Oh, one shot, one kill. Nice. Oh, speaking of which, well, this is not a game I care about, so let me do... Oh, you ate my arrow. You suck. Okay, back to work. Now, nice line. Back to the stun baton. It has gotten a significant damage increase. I have not used it in the new alpha. I have not used it in the current setting we have. I may have to do a run to see if I like it or not. But it got a significant damage upgrade, so I'm willing to give it that chance. But forever, this thing was worthless, and I didn't like using it. However, if we are going to use it, these are the mods you use, at least for me. The Stun Baton Repulsor mod. If you're not using this mod, don't use this weapon. That's how this goes. Because it's what lets you charge up and actually knock the zombies back after it gets charged. Then you've got the Structural Brace mod doing less stamina and doing less damage to the weapon. Rad removal, hitting green guys, they don't get hit. You guys know what these are already in the fortifying grip. So that's the melee weapon. The ranged weapon on this is the droids, and that's your sort of what I'm looking for. Your robotic sledge is the melee weapon. I don't really consider it a melee weapon. You get to make the drone, but you can make your drone anywhere by finding the right books. I feel like I'm forgetting something. Yeah, you get the robotic turret, which is kind of nice. You can put it down and have a machine gun pointing behind you. I treat that like any other weapon, where you put the rad removal tool on it. You'll put ammo extender on it, except you get the idea. You just don't need a zoom on it because you're not using it as a weapon in that, a ranged weapon at that point. And then you build the drone. So, I mean, there's some options here, but all of that's in robotics. For the pipes, you're only putting into one thing, so you get more points to do other things with, so that helps. But I may have to do a run, I'll be honest, as I'm sitting here thinking about it, because this has changed significantly enough that it might be worth it. But that's my thoughts. Those are my opinions. Let me know what yours are in the comments below. Snick500, 7 Days to Die, my favorite weapons and mods in the game. We'll see you in the next one.